Entering the atmosphere in T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello folks, and welcome to a brand new and extra special episode of the Omega Metroid podcast. I'm your host, Doominal Crossing, but for the first time ever, me hosting does not mean I'm alone, doesn't mean that I have a special guest. That's right, we're here with our favorite Andy Spiteri over at the Zelda Dungeon Marathon in Chicago. Andy, how the heck are you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great. I have slept 8 hours in the past, 2.5 days. I've been in Tingle costumes, full makeup. I've been playing 10 hours straight of Twilight Princess. I kind of don't know what day it is. When I messaged you saying, can we record tomorrow? I thought it was today. So I was very surprised when you said you were ready to go. But we're having a great time. We're raising a lot of money for the Greater Chicago Food Depository. We're over $4,000 raised. And we're just getting started, so there's lots of cool stuff to play. And you know what? I was just playing some good old N64 GoldenEye multiplayer, 4-player multiplayer. So things are good over here.
That's awesome. And $4,000 already, and you're not even halfway through this marathon yet. That is pretty incredible stuff right there. So glad to see that. And also there's rumors that you've donned a new outfit for this Zelda marathon.
The rumors are true. Yes, the rumors are true. We donned the sacred Tingle garb today to play for the first time ever at the Zelda Dungeon Marathon. Ripened Tingle's Balloon Trip of Love, a game banned in North America. So we got a little bit of the way through that. It was mostly just a showcase to see how it was going, but it was pretty nasty. We're talking red Speedo, green skin tight suit, just a really gnarly look. But by God, we do it in the name of the Greater Chicago Food Depository. So yeah, tonight's schedule is I'm going to do some commentary on our puzzle in about 90 minutes. I got an Oracle of Ages run coming up at 2:30 until about 7. So I'm outside of Zelda Dungeon headquarters. You might see some folks in the background. You may not. I don't know. There's about 40 people in this house, give or take. So lots going on here, Doom. Lots going on. Thank you for hosting this week too. It is kind of a weird reversal, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit of an alternate timeline going on today. Well, Andy, as you alluded to today, you are quite busy and you are running on fumes. So, let's get this show on the road. Let's kick things into gear. It's going to be a little bit of a quicker show than we usually do today, folks. Because we got to get you back to raising some more money and losing just a little bit more sleep. I don't think you've lost quite enough yet. So,
No.
yeah, as we alluded to last week after our Q&A episode, the AM2R celebration is not quite over yet. We got one final episode planned for you today. We are doing a definitive ranking of every single boss fight in AM2R. And spoiler alert, we got a really good pool to work with here. So I definitely know what my number one is, but I'm pretty much just going to be winging it for all of the others when I determine kind of what order they go into. But yeah, kind of just off the top of your head, what are your opinions on the AM2R bosses, Andy?
Super strong. All of them are super strong. I don't know what's going to be my number one or not, because I think that there's a couple of contenders for number one. I think I've probably got my bottom ones are kind of solidified, but could be swayed, depending on kind of the facts and the arguments that you present here, Doom. So yeah, looking forward to it. We should just clarify as well. So definitive style, we're going to go in order of the first boss, and then the second, and then the third, and then we'll kind of rank them either above, in between, or whatever as we go. We did make some executive decisions about the Metroid boss fights.
Yes, actually, that's a really good point. We should clarify that before we begin. So we decided that aside from the Queen Metroid, we are not going to be including any of the sub Metroid bosses. So no alphas, no gammas, no zetas, and we're going to toss our Omega Metroid bias and say there are no Omega Metroids appearing in this episode today. I know, crazy stuff, folks, but
sad time.
yeah, but there will be plenty of more appearances of Omega Metroids in the future, I'm sure. So yeah, we just decided because on one hand, the Zetas and the Omegas, they kind of feel like boss fights, maybe mini boss fights, but at the same time,
yeah.
if we include those, we probably have to include the Zetas and the Alphas, and we both agree that didn't really feel like they quite stack up, made the cut for this. But that being said, we are obviously still going to include the Queen Metroid. That would be sacrilegious not to include that fight. So we're going to include that. Otherwise, everything else is on the table. Andy, are you ready to begin?
I'm ready. Doom, take us away.
All right, so I figure we just do this in order of appearance from the game. So we'll start off with boss number 1. Just as you're leaving the ancient
Golden Temple.
the first the Golden Temple. Thank you. I was like, ancient, that's not right. Yeah, just as you're leaving the Golden Temple, the Ancient Guardian, that's where it comes in, ambushes you just as you're leaving, as our first boss fight in the game. And I think it's a pretty solid introductory boss. It's definitely unique in terms of Metroid boss fights. I like how the walls are consistently closing you in and like threaten to trap you. They give you less space to maneuver around. I think it's a really kind of creative way where almost the environment itself is a bigger hazard than the boss itself. So yeah, I think a pretty strong contender to start off with. Definitely not going to stay at the number 1 spot for too long, I don't think, but I still think it's a solid fight.
Yeah, it's like your quintessential like kind of intro boss for a game. And I kind of I think the coolest thing about this boss is it fits the theme of the Golden Temple, because like that's an ancient Chozo religious site, and it's not like it's a monster. It feels more like a booby trap to prevent like other monsters from coming in. So I think that's really strong. And then you've got like the walls kind of like closing in on you slowly and surely, and it can make it kind of intense. Like if you get to the point in the fight where like the walls are like really in on you and you basically have to shoot forward. So I like that about it. The fight itself is like pretty funny. It's almost like Metroid Prime coded in a way where it's very like color specific and color patterns, which you don't see in a lot of 2D Metroid bosses. But you've got your like different attacks that get telegraphed by the colored laser that comes out, and I think it's like kind of satisfying once you start to pick up on what's what, to be able to avoid and dodge and detect that. So you're right, Doom. Like I think it's not. I mean, it's probably bound to finish lower on our list here, just because like the quality of the bosses just gets like ramped up so much. Like, as your starting intro boss, like I think it's strong, and I think the concept is quite strong as well. And bonus points for getting to go back where you fight it, and there's stuff above it for you to collect as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's more of a testament to just how strong AM2R's bosses is that a boss like this is probably going to finish close to, if not at the very bottom. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, regardless, a pretty strong start. And immediately I'm gonna have to put this lower because up next we got Arachnus, and I'm gonna just tell you this right now. This is my favorite Arachnus fight in the whole series.
Yeah.
And there's actually, you might not realize this, there's actually been quite a lot of Arachnus fights between the original, the remake, and Fusion as well. And so this is actually Arachnus fight number 4 of the total Arachnus fights that we have throughout the series. So this boy has made quite a few appearances. Granted, 3 of them are in various iterations of Metroid 2, but yeah, the AM2R version is absolutely gnarly. I really dig this Arachnus fight quite a bit. Where typically all the Arachnus fights, you want to use your morph ball bombs. Typically the bombs just damage it. In this one, I really like how it's not so much your bombs that are damaging it, it's your bombs that are, causing it to
Hell.
to get shot back, propelled back into like the spikes. And each phase, you basically have to propel it higher and higher into a larger layer of spikes up top. And basically, you have to keep chaining the bombs together to get it higher and up. It's a really creative take on the fight. He's a little bit faster as a result too. Definitely feels a bit deadlier. I think this is a killer fight. I love the Arachnus fight.
I agree. I think this is probably the best Arachnus fight. Like it's and you know what? Like you're again, Arachnus is typically like your intro boss or like one of the earlier bosses that you fight in Metroid 2 or like the games that it showed up in. But I think for that reason, with the added spikes above, it does add a little bit to the proceedings. Like it's pretty simple. It's meant to be pretty simple, but I think that that little wrinkle adds a little something to it that the other ones don't quite have. I might be tempted, in all honesty, to say like my next favorite Arachnus fight is like the OG fight, just because it was so surprising to see it pop out in Metroid 2. But
Right.
I think that this is certainly the best one. Yeah, as far as if I'd rank it above or below the Ancient Guardian, I don't know, I could be swayed, Doom. I think I'd love to hear what you thought actually.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier. It's like right off the bat, I think I would put this above the Ancient Guardian. I think
You
the
would okay.
Arachnus fight. Yeah, I think it's a pretty strong fight.
You know what? I probably would as well. Like a part of me wants to go like points to the Ancient Guardian just for originality, but this is the best version of a proud
Right.
Metroid boss. So you got to give him some style points for that as well.
Yeah.
I could probably go along with you here. Follow your lead and rank him just above the Ancient Guardian. I have no problems with that one.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. We haven't gotten into the egregious brawls yet. um. And kind of going off that, like, yeah, Arachnus itself isn't, an original character. I would argue the fight itself is pretty original. You don't really, the way you damage it and the way you fight it, it's his attack is the same, but like the actual process of elimination, the puzzle you have to solve, completely different than any of the other Arachnus fights. And so, while it's technically not
Mhm.
original, I think it's still really creative in what they do with the character design and what they allow you to do to him as a result. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still think I would put him up there. But Andy, once again, I don't think Arachnus is going to be staying up there for too long, because we have an especially strong contender coming next. One that
Yeah.
I know we both absolutely adore. I took the
Here's
reins.
where the pretenders are separated from the contenders.
Yeah. I went first the last couple of times. Andy, why don't you lead the way and tell us why Chorizo is incredible?
So I mean, there's a couple of reasons why. First and foremost, like I've always had a real soft spot for Chorizo. I didn't know much about Metroid when I played Super Metroid for the first time, but I did know from the trophies and Smash that these statues were supposed to give you good stuff, like they were supposed to help you out. And I remember like when when this thing stood up, I was like, no, you're supposed to give me an item. You're supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them.
Yeah.
And so I remember that sense of betrayal. So I've always really loved Chorizo as a boss. And I think like one of the cool things that AM2R does like consistently really well. You put it really well a couple weeks ago. I don't remember exactly what you said, but it was like you said like it remains faithful to what it should and it changes what it should. And I think I'm gonna tweak that just a little bit to say like M2R like really knows when to deliver you like the Easter eggs and the kind of nostalgia, but it also knows how to make it different and like not just feel like like Arachnus is a great example. Like not just giving you the same old fight, like there's a new added element to it. And that just goes like through the roof for Chorizo. So you have your typical fight, and it's more reminiscent of the golden Chorizo, and you beat it, and you think that it's over, and it's just getting started because then this bad boy grows wings, and the fight just levels up to another stratosphere here. This is like one of my favorite fights in the game. I think it's so awesome. You would just got the space jump at this point, so you have to be like really precise with making sure that you are constantly flying, because the ground is covered in spikes, and it's got a little bit of a challenge, because you need to like shoot out like rockets and stuff, and you need to just kind of be on your toes while also keeping track of like your surroundings, and making sure we got a Zelda Dungeon Chris in the background here.
Played all of them. I like Metroid.
Hello there.
Oh, Metroid. Okay, I love it. So, like, it's a test of your skill versus the environment. It's a test of your skill versus the boss. It's wrapped up nostalgia from Super Metroid, but it's also taking it to to the new place and the new level in AM2R. So in a lot of ways, like, this is like almost a perfect boss for this game. So I don't know. Like, I when I was thinking, I was like, this is a contender for number one, and I think it could be, but we got a lot of other strong contenders to get to. What are your thoughts on Chorizo?
Hmm. Well, obviously, this is number one on the list right now. I don't think there's going to be any debate on us on that front. This is definitely the top contender of what we've discussed by far, by a wide margin. Yeah, Chorizo is absolutely incredible in this game, and I there's pretty much everything that you just said piggybacked a lot of what I wanted to say. Where when I was talking about that in the first episode, where it was like, man, AM2R, it really creatively picks the perfect moments to like stay faithful, and the perfect moments where to stray off and do its own thing. And I think Chorizo is like a really good summation of that. There's another aspect of that fight though that kind of really takes it up to another level aside from the fight itself, and that's the music. Because so previously, we did get a little bit of a Metroid Prime 2 reprisal in the actual area itself with the Light Ether Temple, and or the Great Temple, I should say. And then they do some more Metroid Prime 2 music here with the Chica boss, the Chica larva theme, I should say specifically. That's important. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't expect that. I guess they didn't want to reuse Ridley's theme now that that's kind of like established as Ridley's theme, because in Super Metroid, it's kind of just a generic boss theme that Ridley shares for some of them. So they probably just pick and chose another one. Okay, that's interesting. And then the wings sprout, and then it changes to the Chica adult theme, and then all of a sudden the gears click and everything makes sense. It's like, oh my gosh, that was like such a really cool foreshadowing, deliberate choice right there. Like, and again, it just adds to the atmosphere and the intensity of the fight. And yeah, just the gameplay loop. There isn't really another Metroid boss fight I can think of in the 2D games where you're just constantly, using your space jump to avoid all the hazards like all at once. You don't really have
closest
like,
thing is the Omega Metroid from Samus Returns.
Right. Yeah, you don't really have like a safe area or anything, anything to go off of there. And it just all kind of collides really in that second phase. You could almost argue the second phase carries it. The first is kind of like, your mozzarella sticks, your kind of your appetizer, and then the main course is in that second phase where just everything just unloads. Yeah, absolutely incredible fight. Definitely one of the highlights of AM2R, I think.
Let me take a quick side story here, Doom. We've got our Zelda cast host, Allison Aletha, over here, dropping in on the Omega podcast. Wow.
Doom.
Yeah, we got the hello. Yeah, we got better crossovers than Avengers Doomsday happening here today, folks.
Real. That's pretty real, actually.
So a quick side story. Allison and I were doing a live podcast yesterday, and the gimmick was to eat a bunch of sour candy, which my cheeks are still really messed up.
With like my mouth was still messed up, but like I've recovered. I think tomorrow I'll be back to 100%.
Okay. And so we were taking some audience questions, and one of the questions was like, who is a non-ZD person that you would love to bring to this marathon? My answer was you, Doom.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, I just moved into a new house like a month ago, so finances aren't quite there at the moment. But yeah, someday I would love to attend a ZD marathon. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what the specific game I would play is. I feel like there's a bunch of them up in the air, and I don't know what my specific gimmick would be. But yeah, it would be really fun to hang out with you guys and do that, especially for a good
That'd be pretty
cause.
cool.
Pick him on Skyward Sword.
That's one that I
Wind
still.
Waker.
So, I would. I mean, Wind Waker is my favorite game, so I would love to play that.
That's
The
one-
only two
That's
the only two 3D Zeldas I haven't played yet are Skyward Sword and Majora's Mask. Those are the only I've played all the other 3D Zeldas, so those are two on the bucket list that I still have to get through.
Those ones in Twilight Princess are the 3D Zeldas that you do not want to run. The Zelda Dungeon Marathon.
yeah, they're so long.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, obviously Chorizo is number one of the other two.
Agree with Doom
Yeah.
on whatever you guys are talking about.
Thank you, Al. Thank you. Allison Letha,
You know what?
everybody.
You know, Allison technically did play the original Chorizo fight when she did Super Metroid. That and our
That's
boy the
true.
Golden Chorizo.
That's true. She said she doesn't remember. Okay, who do we got next?
All right. So next up, after the Guardian, we have the Tester, who we fight in the tower, and
Man.
yeah, and not gonna go on top of Chorizo. Definitely not. I think we both agree there. This is another really cool boss fight though, and this is one where I kind of yeah, I think for me, I would put this between Chorizo and Arachnus, but I could also be swayed as well in this one because I'm not super strong on it. But
Yeah.
again, this feels like a boss fight from a completely different genre of game, and yet it works so well in AM2R. It's less of a Metroid style boss fight, whether it be your bare knuckle brawl or your puzzle style boss fight. It feels like more like a bullet hell boss fight.
Yeah.
It feels very arcadey, and yet it kind of works. I think specifically because of that space jump, because it reminds me a lot of like like Gradius kind of, those little arcade shooters where you're in the spaceship and you're shooting it kind of feels something like that, but yeah, you're controlling like a character and you have momentum that you have to keep track of with your jump rather than staying in place and just kind of like moving in your cardinal directions with the ship. And I feel like it's that aspect of it that makes this boss feel so different, yet clearly being influenced from those kind of bullet hell style shooters. Yeah, I think a really creative boss, but yeah, this one I could be swayed on in terms of the position. Andy, what are your opinions?
I think I agree with you. I think it's just below the chorizo. Just like things really make that chorizo fight. This is very cool though, and like it is really satisfying and like kind of difficult as well. And you're right, it feels like it almost doesn't fit in Metroid. And I always feel like with the Tester, there's always like a point where I'm fighting it and I'm like I'm shooting it and shooting it and shooting it because I believe at this point you have the wave beam in the game and you're trying to penetrate and hit like kind of the innards, and I'm always, every time I face this thing, I always feel like it takes me forever to figure out how to actually damage it properly because I just go for beams, and of course like eventually you have to use your missiles to destroy its four little shields that it's got on each side of it. So I like it that it feels like a little bit challenging, and I like it because it's really crunchy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's lots of little bits and parts and stuff that you could shoot, and it feels really satisfying. And you're always kind of destroying something, and you can blast away the little blasters that are on the side. So it feels like satisfying, even if you're not making a ton of like progress necessarily on it. Um, and again, like I feel like I want to give it points for being like a completely original boss to this game. So I want to consider that as well. And also like the setting I think matters as well. Like it's really cool. Like this big monster that you're fighting. To restore power to the tower. tower to the tower. And like once you do that, then you like unlock, like we said last week, like probably the coolest area in the game. Um, I do think it is tough to compete though with the chorizo and like how precise you need to be, because like it really does have that great element of like you got to fight the arena, you got to fight the boss, and I think this one is a little bit more straightforward. I do really like though as well, a nice touch that AM2R does is that it's almost like an identical arena that you fight like Ridley from Super Metroid in terms of like just the
Yeah.
vertical structure of it. So I really like that, which is a nice homage to the tower, which is in a way your Norfair of the area. So yeah, it's got a lot of positives for it. Like I think it's a like it's in contention for number one. I don't think it quite gets there, but like it's certainly like if someone made a case for it and was like, this is the best boss in AM2R, I'm probably going like, yeah, I agree with you. I could totally see that, you know?
Hmm. I definitely think, yeah, I think for me, it definitively is not like in the chorizo camp for me. But I could also, like, if someone else said that, like, hey, this boss resonated with me the most, I'd be like, yeah, I could see that. It's got its
Yeah.
own unique flavor. It's pretty much everything about it, like, kind of going back to Ancient Guardian, like from head to toe, completely unique. And I think it absolutely excels at that. And you also brought up something earlier, the crunchiness. AM2R just is good about this in general, not just in the boss fights, but it does have like a very satisfying crunchy sound design, especially with missile impacts. Missile impacts against and then like when you're defeating robots and steel, like it very satisfying like ways to kind of interpret like the twisting and snarling of like heated
Yeah.
metals. It's like really satisfying when you get those hits in on stuff like that. So very good call out there. Big fan of that.
Yeah. You're probably right. Like in my heart of hearts, it's not like a true contender, but I do like, I will admit I have somewhat of a bias for the more original bosses. Even if like you know, maybe they won't finish top of the list. Like I really appreciate just that they're like there, you know, and like that they are included, and it's not like just nostalgia and just kind of relying on those enemies from previous games, which is like one of the great things that AM2R actually does is like give you a consistent supply of bosses and a consistent supply of like, here's a hit of nostalgia, here's a hit of like Mega Man, here's it does it really well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? That also goes for Samus Returns as well. I mean, my favorite boss in that game is Diggernaut, which I don't recall that
Yeah.
appearing in the original Metroid 2 myself. So yeah, I definitely appreciate a good dose of originality as well. I just think in this case for me, just the nostalgia and the gameplay just kind of works in tandem in Teriza's
Agreed.
advantage.
That Chorizo fight, I mean, it's pretty darn awesome.
I mean, you pretty much said it earlier. Like, it's pretty much perfect. Like, is there anything I would change about it? Not that I can think of.
Yeah. I got to ask you a question. I'm in West Dundee, Illinois, and there are crickets here like I've never heard in my life. Can you hear these crickets?
No. Your microphone is doing a great job of hiding everyone else but yourself. So
I wanted to bring in some cricket energy from the wilderness here, but it looks like we're not getting there.
yeah, we got
Very,
some
very
crickets.
diegetic.
We got some crickets that come into Lowe's on occasion. Like they'll find a way through the garden center, and then I'll be in appliances at Lowe's, and I'll just see like a stray cricket just kind of hopping about, maybe doing a little chirp here and there. So I'm definitely
There's an army of
familiar with
crickets
them.
over here. I promise you. Sorry, moving on.
Now, I hope they're not too mad at our list right now. That could cause trouble later.
And
Let's
and
go
maybe
on.
we quickly to recap. So we've got Chorizo at number 1, the Tester at number 2, Arachnus at 3, and Ancient Guardian number 4. I will say, I do say, like the Ancient Guardian has like just an absolutely sick sprite. I don't think we called that out, but I'm looking at it right now, and God, it looks good.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It definitely I feel like it's very It's reminiscent of a lot of the Chozo statues you see in Metroid Zero Mission, which I think is a really, really cool touch
Yeah.
there. I definitely love the sprite work there. I love how its eyes glow the different colors each time it does a different attack. That's also a really nice touch.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So moving on, next up, we have another boss fight in the tower. We have the tank prototype. And
Yes.
this is another really cool boss. I love the design of this guy. I think as a fight though, it's a very
Not much.
it's a very loose use of the word fight.
Mhm.
I think I might actually put this either just above Guardian or at the bottom of the list. And again, not because it's bad by any means, but its purpose is not to be a fight. Its purpose is to be a part of something greater, which is, of course, the escape sequence in the tower,
Yep.
which is incredible. And it plays a role in why that escape sequence is so incredible. But just on its own and its own little box, doesn't really offer too much. Again, aside from that really cool looking sprite. So, because it really is just kind of like, you fire a lot of missiles into it, you get again some more crunchy, satisfying hits in, and then it's just kind of like another obstacle that's in your way in this greater escape sequence. Otherwise,
Yeah, and like I guess the question is, how much do you separate the setting from the boss fight itself? Because you're right. Like as a boss fight, it's pretty standard. Like you can kind of just like spam beams and like the tank prototype will be destroyed. As a set piece though, like it's absolutely incredible. And I'm going to lean more towards like an all encompassing everything together. I do want to say, like, I think that the design of the tank prototype looks just like absolutely awesome. Like I think that this thing looks so cool. It's like a cool Ridley robot, made way better. Yeah, it's like super awesome, and it's probably like the best part of that escape sequence. Um, we have multiple cosplayers outside here at the Zelda Dungeon Marathon coming. Hey, what's up? Yeah. So as a actual sprite, like I think that it's super awesome, and obviously like as a set piece, it is just like probably the best in the game. I think like I don't think I can separate the two. Like because I just think that that kind of adds to the tension of that escape sequence, even if it is kind of an easy boss fight. Like it's all about the feels that you have while you are fighting it, right? So like I think that like everything kind of going all together really adds up to something really cool. Now, am I gonna put it above Chorizo? Like, of course not. And I probably wouldn't put it above Esther either, but I think I would put it like right below that. I would put it above Arachnus, even though the Arachnus fight itself is better, but the everything else surrounding the tank prototype, I think, is just like so good that I'm gonna put my echo for this one a little bit, maybe at number 3. I don't know if that's too high for you.
I think I'm fine with that. I don't think I'll fight that too much because again, I am kind of just ranking this as a bubble, but yeah, like I pretty much agree with everything you said though. Like yeah, as for the sequence and like kind of how you're feeling at the moment, yeah, getting into the fight with this thing feels like an incredible moment in and of itself. And like that's the thing. If we were doing like an escape ranking, which we have done in the past, I can't remember what episode it is off the top of my head, but yeah, if we are ranking the escape sequences, obviously this fight plays a huge role in that escape sequence and why it ranks so high for us. But yeah, looking at it on its own, like I can't fully separate it, but I feel like I'm definitely looking at it, kind of as more of a standalone moment. But I'm totally fine with putting it as Arachnus if we do want to consider like the greater context.
I think we should like on its own, it's probably last. Like it's probably there's not much there, but I think we should consider that context. And it's just like a really cool set piece. And you know what, Doom? I wonder if we should give a little preview, a little spoiler of our top 40 Metroid moments. This will appear on this list. Some capacity, you're going to be reading about the tank prototype and the tower.
You heard it here first,
little
folks.
bonus preview for everybody.
Yeah, what could the other 39 moments be? Who knows? It's
Lots of
obviously
contenders.
the Ridley other M cutscene is number one.
We'll come back to yeah. Oh, okay, so do we agree number 3 is where we can go with this?
Yeah, we'll do tank prototype in number 3. I'm gonna slot that there right now on our list. Give it our a temporary bronze medal, maybe a permanent bronze medal. We'll see. Probably
Maybe
not.
that could very well be the case. Maybe not, but we'll see.
All right. So next up, we have another cameo appearance from Metroid. Actually, we're about to have 2 Metroid Fusion cameo appearances back to back. But
Yes, we are.
Next up, we have Ceres. This time not possessed by an X parasite. It's the real deal, the OG Ceres coming at you. It's a pretty
I
it's a
think
pretty
this
cool
was the
fight.
best
Yeah.
like surprise boss in this game.
Yeah. And one
This
that
was
like
so
makes sense.
good.
It's like one that makes sense too, because it's like, oh yeah, everything on the BSL came from SR3D8. Of course, like it makes sense that like you'd fight Ceres on SR3D8. Like, yeah, totally. And you fight him very differently than how you do in Fusion 2. It's heavily dependent on the ice beam and freezing his armor and shattering it, rather than just putting missiles into his armor like you would in Fusion. This fight is really cool, and yet at the same time is not, other than it being Ceres, is not super memorable to me. I don't really know how to describe it, but I don't know. It kind of like occupies a little bit of both for me. Maybe because like the way you fight it is pretty similar to Fusion. You're just kind of using ice beam a lot and replace in place of the missiles. It doesn't. I think another thing for me is in Fusion, it also has the speed booster equipped, and it's doing a lot of that. Doesn't obviously because it's not possessed by the X. It doesn't have a lot of those speed booster effects going on. Although at the same time, I feel like this fight is a bit more challenging than the one we got in Fusion. So I'm kind of torn. This is another one where I'm kind of torn on which way to go with Ceres. I should clarify. I do like this fight. I'm not saying it's a bad fight by any means. It's a really well done fight. But yeah, I feel like this is another one where you could easily sway me to go really high or really low on this one.
We're gonna get there.
Hello, I was about to say hello, Goo, with the cameo appearance.
Yes, all the podcast worlds are converging. We've got Omega, Virtual Theater, Flashback 64, and of course Omega Metroid all in one house.
And of course the cicadas.
Yeah.
Audible those are, but dang, they're loud.
I was telling him they are crazy out here.
Wait, Andy told me they were crickets. Is it cicadas?
What's a cicada?
These are cicadas.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Okay, so that actually changes things up. We actually don't have cicadas, at least in my area of California. We only have the crickets. So that's actually something that I'm not used to.
I gotta be on. What's a cicada?
It's a it's a bug.
Okay.
They get loud as heck.
You'd know if you played Animal Crossing, Andy. They're like all over that game.
Yes, shame on me. So Goo and I have not got to Metroid Fusion yet. And Gooey Plays Metroid, available on patreon.com/SBNet. So Goo, you wouldn't have encountered Ceres yet, but
No.
Ceres is a boss in AM2R. I kind of agree with you, Doom. I think I'm gonna go number 4 for Ceres on our ranking right now. It's a really fun fight, and it's like a huge, let me steal a Dakota Lasky term here, it's a huge pop-off moment
Yes.
when you see Ceres. But the fight itself, I think, is just like a touch confusing, because you've got your ice beam, which is the best ice beam I think in the series. But you freeze Ceres, and you have to somehow like shoot Ceres, and it's a little bit. It always takes me a little bit of, I don't know, a moment to kind of process like what I need to do in order to beat it, and it's got a little bit less of that frantic energy that the Fusion fight has. But I still really like this fight. Like, again, there's a wide gap between 4 and 5, I think, on the list, but I don't know that I would advocate for it. Like I would put it under the tank prototype, to be honest. Like, and I know that you weren't a big fan of that one. Because I like,
Well,
like the moment itself is incredible. The fight, I think, it's still really cool, but maybe not like top tier for some of our other contenders that we have up there. You know what I was thinking? Like Ceres is one I'd really like to see in a 3D boss fight. Like that would be really cool to see that reinterpreted.
With like the melee counter and like some of like the cinematic
Yeah.
finishers that you get.
Yeah, or even
be...
like a Mercury Steam style. That'd be cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of where my mind jumped to instantly.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a hot take or not. I think I would put this below Arachnus, actually. I think the Arachnus, like, Ceres definitely has the bigger pop-off moment, but in terms of the actual fight, I think I gotta give it to Arachnus. But that's just me, though. I don't know if that's a spicy take or not.
Now, Gooey, you do have some experience with Arachnus.
Right. But you're talking about the remake?
We're talking about
AM2R?
the remake, yes.
Okay.
He's not just your average armadillo in this remake. He has been powered up.
That Arachnus moment is really good in the original.
Much like Chorizo, actually, it's a shocking betrayal. You think you're going to get something cool, and all of a sudden you got a boss fight. You know what, Doom? I don't think I could put Ceres that low. I would personally pull for him above Arachnus. It's not a hill I'm going to die on, but I think that there is like some really cool stuff going on in that fight. The music is cool too. Like we shouldn't discount that as well.
Yes. As most of AM2R music is, yes.
Yeah. I'll follow your lead on this, but that does seem low. Arachnus above Ceres seems low, I think.
I mean, if you want to put him over Arachnus, I'm not gonna be super pushing hard for it. I think there's another boss that I'm gonna push a little bit harder for later on.
Okay.
So I don't. Yeah, if we want to stick this between Tank, Prototype, and Arachnus, that's fine with me. That's part of what we got to do on definitive ranking. Sometimes we got to do a little compromise.
We got to make sacrifices.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that. Maybe can we get a quick recap of the list for Goo and the listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll go from top to bottom. So handedly at the number 1 spot is the King Chorizo. Just beneath we have the Tester, followed by the Tank Prototype, both which occupy the tower. Funny enough. Then of course we got Ceres, followed by Arachnus, and at the very bottom we have the Ancient Guardian, who, despite being on the bottom of the list, is still a pretty cool fight.
There's not a bad boss fight in AM2R, except maybe.
I was about to say
one. Maybe.
I don't know if I'd use the word bad, but I think Genesis is gonna be at the bottom of our list here, because we only have 2 choices left, and I know for sure the last choice isn't gonna be at the bottom. I think Genesis goes at the bottom of the list.
I think I agree with you.
Problem with that.
So here's what I'm thinking, and let's set some context for everybody that doesn't maybe know. So AM2R adds kind of an optional area to Metroid 2. So there's the story of Metroid 2 in the manual. There's a Galactic Federation search and research team that goes to scout out the planet, and they get like ramsacked by the Omega Metroids. And that's why they hire Samus. And so AM2R adds like their ship. Like you can see, it's called the GFS Thoth. And it's like a big warship, and inside it's got a lot of architecture very similar to ships that we would see in Metroid Fusion. And there's kind of like an optional like boss inside of there. But I think what loses points to me, Doom, because I actually think the fight itself is like kind of fun. Like Genesis appears and disappears in the dark. It can sneak up on you. It takes a lot of hits in order to be defeated. But the thing is I just kind of think it's like a weird choice for that boss. You know what I mean? Like it's just like kind of like it was an enemy in Metroid Fusion, and I don't think there was any extra sort of like horror or anything behind it. Like it almost would have been better if it was like if this was the exact same fight, but like an X-infested Galactic Federation trooper. I think that would have been
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
Now I don't know how you would then get around like the X kind of going and getting to Samus, but like something creative like that, I think would give this a little bit more punch because I do just kind of think it's not the fight itself. It's just kind of like, oh, it's like this enemy
It's like a weird cameo.
Yeah.
a little bit like Genesis doesn't mean anything to most.
Yeah.
Like it didn't mean anything to me. I don't know about you, Doom. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't even realize it was a fusion enemy the first time I did this. It wasn't until
Yeah.
later where I realized that, like, oh yeah, that one random enemy that like drools on you from like the air ducts above in fusion, and
Yeah.
now it's like this. Now it's like one of the most difficult boss fights in the game for some reason.
Yeah.
It's it's a weird choice, and honestly, I think the fight itself is kind of average. I don't know. It just didn't really. Other than like
Yeah.
kind of the difficulty spike, which I mean it's an optional boss fight, so I think you should have like a really good difficulty spike there for an optional fight. But other than that, just the fight itself just really didn't resonate with me that much. Again, not a bad fight, but just kind of like an average, kind of a mediocre fight. That's just kind of my
Yeah.
opinion on that front. And you actually gave me a really good idea because I do agree, so a lot of the shit, it doesn't just reference fusion, it also references Prime 3. There's a lot of like Prime
Yeah.
style architecture thrown in there as well, especially like with like the doors and the outside of the ship itself. You gave me a really good idea though. What if like you have all of these deceased ex-corrupted Federation Marines? They're just on the ship because it's like this one area that's like, safe from the Metroids. But you're fighting like swarms of them, and sometimes they'll like combine together and they'll create like, kind of like the monster X the monster SAX you fight at the end of Fusion, but it's like, these Federation troopers. I think that would be really cool. Maybe that's asking a bit too much from this fan game though, that was created by a very small team and took 8 years to develop. I don't know.
Yeah, like context matters. Like I kind of think like almost anything would have been cooler than Genesis.
Yeah.
But I mean, certainly not complaining. Let's give another quick shout out here, by the way. If you're watching on YouTube, we have a ton of Zelda Dungeon cameos in the background. Nicole Scott joining us alongside Gooey Fame. You're going to see both of them on our top 40 Metroid moments list that we got coming out August the 6th on OmegaMetroid.com. Tasked with a couple of pretty pivotal Metroid moments. Not Genesis, unfortunately, but some others that are in Metroid fan hearts.
Genesis will not be appearing in Avengers Doomsday.
No. Which is like too bad because I think and like it sounds like we're dogging on this fight. Like it's still really fun. It's optional. Like
Yeah.
it's just kind of like an intense enemy that you fight. Like I would liken it to the two like supercharged space pirates that you fight for Ridley's Lair in Super Metroid. And
yeah.
fine. Like the vibes of the fight are super high. That's kind of all it needs to be. But I think like because of that, like at least for me, I kind of instinctually compare it to like the Metroid Hatcher from Corruption, and it ain't that.
Yeah, definitely not. I will say I like that you don't expect, at least for me, maybe it doesn't reflect your playthrough, but like when I entered that ship, I wasn't really expecting myself to get into a boss fight. It just so I did like that it kind of took me by surprise. That's probably the biggest positive I have though.
I would agree, yeah. But I'm with you. It's probably last.
Yeah,
It's like the opposite of what we were talking about with Chorizo, like kind
yeah.
of nostalgia and new, but like it's feel bad dogging on it. It's kind of not like good nostalgia, and it's kind of like not good new either. So yeah,
The nostalgia. It was recognizable. It wasn't bad nostalgia, but it didn't hit the way that you want like really good nostalgia to hit.
Yeah. What is your favorite Metroid boss that you have played in your Metroid game so far? Putting you on the spot.
Maybe something I'd have to really go back and look, but maybe something from Dread. I feel like that had really good boss fights.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's been a while since I played, so they're not fresh in my mind. Otherwise, yeah, I don't. Maybe. Well, honestly, maybe like in that they had cool ones with like now I'm revisiting like Kraid. Like Kraid is kind of a cool fight, like
Big Daddy Kraid.
climbing up the things,
Mm.
and that's a cool fight.
So your prime in Zero Mission so far.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think the biggest showstopper for me was the Ridley fight at the end of Prime.
Meta Ridley.
Meta Ridley.
Okay.
I thought that was so scenic and epic.
Okay.
And it really felt like I was using like all the tools in my toolkit.
I love that. Nice to hear someone not jaded about Meta Ridley, like just
Yeah.
Yeah.
pure at heart. The setting, I mean, you can't beat that setting.
No, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Andy and I, we have a bit of an unpopular hot take because that is also a lot of people's favorite fight in Metroid Prime, but we're not the biggest fans of the actual fight itself. I love the setting. Meta Ridley's design is like my favorite Ridley design period in Metroid Prime. Everything about that fight, but yeah, it just feels it's specifically the first phase where he's constantly flying away that kind of like kills the pacing for me. But we're in the minority. Most people very, very vocally disagree with us. And no, I'm happy that you really enjoyed and got some resonance from that fight.
Yeah. Will we see
I'm
Meta
good.
Ridley on the top 40 Metroid moments list? We might.
We'll have to wait and find out. Yeah, Gooey,
August
I'm
6th,
surprised.
we'll know.
Gooey, for your pick, I'm surprised you didn't pick the final Silex boss in Prime 4. I thought that would have been your definite number one.
Too soon, dude.
I was about to say, how about that ball from Federation Force?
Okay, but actually, that fight is awesome.
Yeah.
I love that fight. Okay, so let's. We've only got one left, dude. Maybe let's get a quick recap before you bring us home.
Yeah, we've been stalling for a bit, but yeah, we gotta finish this thing out. So at number 1, and again, a very definitive number 1, we have Torizo. Just below Torizo, we have the Tester, followed by the Tank Prototype, followed by Ceres, and then Arachnus, followed by the Guardian, no longer in last place. And now in our official last place, we have Genesis.
As it should be.
Yes.
As it should be. There's only one left.
Andy, I'm going to be gunning pretty hard for what's coming up here. I don't want to spoil how much I love this boss fight because it might appear in another 40th anniversary celebration episode we're doing. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Queen Metroid is my favorite boss fight in AM2R. Even above Torizo, which is a very heavy hitting contender, but I freaking adore this boss fight. It has pretty much everything that you want out of a final boss. It's got the difficulty spike, it's got killer design, atmosphere, music, spectacle. It is incredibly satisfying across the board, especially when you do finally defeat it. It is like one of the best like fist pumping moments in the entire game for myself. This thing is just such a huge highlight. I especially like the 1.0 version of this boss fight. The 1.2 version, they made it a little bit easier where you can actually freeze the projectiles that it fires at you. In the 1.0 version, you cannot freeze them. You can only screw attack through them, but they don't get destroyed immediately. I kind of prefer that. I think I kind of prefer that heavier difficulty there, but I digress. It's still an incredible boss fight. It has the same attacks that it does in the original Metroid 2, where it'll kind of lunge at you. But as the phases progress, it gets faster and faster. And my favorite bit, and of course the moment that I think blew everyone away, is like, you think you're about to defeat it. You've fired some missiles into it. You've done the secret, morph ball bomb damage to it, and you think the fight's over. And then it starts charging up, and it's like, it's about to fire a super attack at us. And so you get into a morph ball mode, you dodge the attack, and then all of a sudden, the wall behind you gets blown up and it starts charging at you. And again, and then that's when the true scope of the fight is revealed. And then each phase of the fight, it destroys the wall and corners you into a smaller and smaller room, kind of a similar effect to what Genesis did, but way more cinematic. Not Genesis, the Ancient Guardian fight, but just way more cinematic and just kind of like off the walls. And again, by the time you're in that third or the fourth phase, you have barely any room to maneuver, and its attacks are so much faster now. You have to be, I don't want to say like frame perfect, but you have to do a perfectly time the way you're going to jump out of the way, but you don't want to be in the air too long because it can still get you again while you're in the air. It's such an incredible fight. And then of course, once you get to the finisher where it starts chomping on you and you can either pump it full of missiles, or you could do the classic powerbomb kill and just watch it get eviscerated. Yeah, this is easily my number one fight in AM2R. I think for both of us, at the very least, I'm gonna fight for this to be at number 2. I'm gonna hope that I can convince you to put it at number 1, though.
I don't think you're gonna have to convince me hard. I think that is probably the right one to put at number 1. Like, Chorizo is a cool addition, but I mean, this game is about Metroids. It's about killing Metroids, and the Metroid Queen is the best version of the Metroid Queen. And you know what? I agree with everything you said gameplay wise, but we got to point out what they did that was really smart. Was a remix of that OG Metroid 2 Metroid theme, which was sorely missing from Samus Returns. I just think that adds so much. The hulking behemoth busting through the walls. I'm a sucker for those set pieces. I think that it's really cool when it does that, and it kind of adds not quite. You know what? I guess it is kind of the same thing as when Chorizo busts out the wing. So you have a little bit of that, and it's just kind of feels like a close encounter brawl with this big creature, which I've always kind of I'm a big fan of the Ridley fight from Super Metroid, and I like it just because it feels like a fight and not like a puzzle. And this one definitely feels the same. So I think that this one is really really strong. On your average day, it's probably a toss up between our top 3. I could go any way on those any day, but there is something poetic when you're ranking the best bosses of AM2R, and there's something poetic. You gotta have the Queen Metroid over at that number 1. So I support that. I think that the fight is really great. It's probably it's different than the Samus Returns fight, because that one is a little bit more involved, and you have to be a little bit more strategic with your items and with some of your movements and what you're doing and stuff like that. And it's not you don't have to be strategic with your items here too, but it is just kind of more of I gotta just unload missiles quick. The Queen will usually have openings for you to do so. So it really is kind of your ability to perform and to hit accurately that's going to make the difference. Whereas in Samus Returns, it's more so coordinating your items and knowing what to do to avoid certain attacks. So for that reason, I really like this fight as well. I have no problem putting it at number 1. I knew that you were a fan of it, and honestly, I'm a big fan of it too. So there's multiple boss fights that I think you could put at number 1, and this leads the pack, I think, on most days. So I have no qualms with this at number 1.
All right, I'm glad I'm glad I didn't have to fight too hard for that.
And that's the thing. AM2R just has such a strong catalog of boss fights. You really wouldn't have had to fight me hard for almost any of the top 4 that we ended up having, because I think that all 4 of them in their own way really unique merits. One of them setting is just unmatched with the escape sequence. The other one is great bullet hell unmetroidy crunchy boss. Another one, a great nostalgia mix of gameplay and and environmental kind of survival skills, and of course, I mean, like the Queen Metroid, like that's what it's all about. That's why you're on the
Mhm.
planet. That's why you're there. Like it is just a killer boss fight.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you and I work a little bit differently because kind of going back to like the prototype robot where it's like I don't necessarily I like to look at the boss fights in a bubble. I don't necessarily
Yeah.
like to look at the greater context and everything. Going to
Yeah.
Samus Returns again, my favorite boss fight in that game is the Digger Knot. I'm definitely not putting Queen Metroid at number one just because the Metroids are the whole point of the game, and so I'm kind of looking at the Queen Metroid same thing in this game. I just genuinely think the fight is that good, and then on top of that extra context is just kind of gravy. A little bit of extra
Totally.
as well.
The moment has to
Um,
meet battle, and vice versa. So like I think that this totally like makes it and puts it into the upper echelon.
Yeah, absolutely, and of course, I did bring it up a little bit, but you put more emphasis on it. My goodness, the music in this fight absolutely obliterates whatever they were trying to do in the Samus Returns fight. I like the Samus Returns fight. I think that new theme that they put there actually brings it down a letter grade in Samus Returns for me.
It doesn't quite hit.
Yeah, it was not the right call. Versus this theme, which is again, it basically feels like, hey, what if we did the Metroid Queen today? Basically, with like kind of in a Metroid Prime style. It doesn't use the exact same synth patches, but it used very similar sounding synth patches and percussion, like some of those little like some of those little breaks for the percussion. Like it's definitely like kind of an allusion to the a lot of the sounds you'd hear in Prime, and I think it works absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. Okay, so there we go. Maybe we get a last recap of the boss list.
Yeah, I think we got to do one last recap. I think this time we're gonna go bottom up this time instead of top to bottom. In last place we have Genesis, and then just edging out Genesis we have the Ancient Guardian. Up next we have Arachnus, and then after that we have Ceres, and then we have the tank prototype, and now we are in the top three with our bronze medalist. We have the Tester. Our silver medalist, we have Torizo, and with the gold medal, the title, the belt, it's the Queen Metroid herself.
Yes.
Wow, I had so much fun ranking these bosses. I would say AM2R, Prime 2, and Dread are probably like the three best collections of Metroid bosses in the entire series.
They're strong. I can't leave out Super, and I can't just dismiss some of the OGs of Metroid Prime. But I mean, like that's just kind of a good problem to have when you're trying to fit a lot of these games into the top three boss fights. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, outside of Genesis, where I was a little iffy on, pretty much all these boss fights are like, yeah, that's dope, that's awesome, I dig it. Yeah, an incredibly strong list, and with again, not even just one, but a few different bosses on this list that I think are a bit extra special and definitely stand out even amongst the wide the high quality of bar that Metroid sets for its bosses.
Yeah, totally. So thank you for indulging me at the marathon. Sorry if it was a little bit loud or this audio is a little bit different than usual. Should be back to the regular setup next week, but it was a nice little distraction from Zelda to talk Metroid here.
Yeah, and you know what? Despite the audio differences, I think we made it work here today. And honestly, I was expecting this to be a shorter episode. By the time we hit record, it's going to be about an average hour-long Omega Metroid episode. So we somehow we managed to pull one out for you guys.
We don't know any other way.
Absolutely. But yeah, next week, what are we doing next week? Is that the next week is the 40 greatest Metroid moments. Part 1.
Not yet. Next week is just a retrospective, and then 40 great Metroid moments. That comes out August the 6th.
Yes, you're right. The article is getting released on on that Thursday, but our episodes covering it would be the following weeks. Yes, next week we're just going to be celebrating Metroid's birthday. Not just, of course, the birth of the NES game, but 40 years of the series as a whole. A wild sentence to be saying out loud. 40 years of Metroid is crazy, but you'll have to wait till next week for that one, folks. In the meantime, we're going to sign off for now. If you liked the episode, give it a like, folks. Put that thumbs up there, whether you're on YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts from. Leave us a like, leave us a comment, join our Discord server. We're always chatting on the Discord, and, with Metroid's 40th approaching, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people talking, sharing memories. So please join in on the fun on our Discord. Follow us on Blue Sky. We're always posting there, and you can always chat us up there on all the comment sections there. And you know what? What's even better than that is you giving us your money, or at least Andy. If you go to patreon.net/SPNet, where you can get all of your Omega Metroid bonus content, including the current series Gooey Plays Metroid, as well as a little bit of bonus content for all of his other podcasts. Too many podcasts, if you ask me. But yeah, that will do it for us today, folks. I'm Andy. I'm going to let you get back to your incredible Zelda Dungeon Marathon. I'll see you next week, and folks, I will see you all next mission.